Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got two replays in the American Tier 8 Premium Medium Tank, the M26 T99, or the Rocket Pershing. Now if you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below as it really helps the channel. And yes, we've got two really nice games for you in the Rocket Pershing. This is obviously a Tier 8 Premium version of the M26 Pershing, but you have a multi-weapon system, and in that you have some rockets. You have about 44 of them in total. And if you hold A down, you can start to fire them. They only have about 72mm of penetration, so you have to hit the right spot to pen them. And realistically, they're only that usable against lightly armoured vehicles, or if you can come against the rear of vehicles that have no armour on them. They do have 300 damage a shot, though, and you get 4 shots of them per clip, which means you can dish out 1200 damage against something that's lightly armoured. But they are a right pain to use on this vehicle because the gun depression on them is a little bit awkward, and they are quite high up on the turret. And also, you've got 264 meters a second shell velocity on those rockets, which means that they are very slow in general. And they're also a bit awkward because, as you're seeing right there, they're a bit crisscrossed, and that is that they have a convergence point that I can't quite remember what the convergence point is on this vehicle, but generally it's about 100 or 200 meters that basically you can see they hit the center point and then they sort of skew it to the left and the right, which means they're only that useful at certain distances. When you're firing at distance like this, they're just a bit awkward and I wouldn't really recommend them. But alongside the rockets, you are a Pershing, and a Pershing is a nice Tier 8 medium tank. It's a tank that I have always enjoyed, is the old Pershing. And just to add rockets on the top of it, oh yeah. And the fact that it makes silver, I'll take it, because I do like my Pershing generally. As the T99 has a 48km/h top speed, which is a fairly average top speed for a medium tank, with a 20km/h reverse speed, which is really good, to be fair. 704 horsepower engine, which is 17.21 horsepower per ton ratio, which means you do get to your top speed fairly easily in the tank. 20% internal fire chance, though, means it is likely to set on fire, so you just got to be very, very careful of that in the T99. You've got decent ground resistances that don't really hold the tank back too much. 39 degrees a second on the track traverse, which has been helped out, which is really not too bad now. Without the help, it can feel really sluggish to turn at times, this tank. You've got 327 meters of steel concealment with the build that I run, which means you've not got the best camo in the universe, but with that little bit of help from the crew and stuff like that, you can at least stay unspotted easier than without the help. You've got 499 meters of view range, which is good. It means you can spot for yourself quite effectively in the M26 T99 with a 41.27 degree a second turret rotation speed, which means it is faster than the tracks. That's pretty good. With 0.87 accuracy during rotation and 1.38 accuracy during movement. Now, the accuracy during rotation is not that great, but combined with the accuracy during movement of 1.38, that's actually really good gun handling, and it means that the aim circle doesn't bloom out that much at all, and you have a 1.93 second aim time alongside that, meaning that when the aim circle does bloom out a bit, you're aimed in really quickly anyway, which means you're always ready to snap shots in this vehicle. And the gun handling is pretty nice, mixed in with some pretty good DPM as well. As you do have a 0.29 accuracy at 100 meters, the gun is pretty accurate. 10 degrees of gun depression means you are very flexible on a ridgeline, as you've just seen, which can be very good for the T99. You've got pretty damn good DPM on this tank at 5.03 second reload with a 2.8k DPM. That is really nice on the T99 Rocket Pershing. And alongside the rockets can feel great. 221 penetration on the standard AP with 268 penetration on the premium APCR means you don't really struggle to pen anything in this tank unless it's an extremely super heavy vehicle at tier 10. So that's really nice as well. 240 damage on the standard AP rounds and on the premium APCR rounds. And the standard AP has 975 meters a second shell velocity on that AP round, which is below average, which means you have to give a decent amount of lead in the T99 to be able to hit your targets at distance. But 1219 meters a second shell velocity on the premium APCR is very, very nice. And that means that you will won't have to lead it out as much at distance, and that's pretty good for the old Rocket Pershing. It does have 150% silver bonus, which means you do make decent credits in this tank as well, as long as you're not having to fire too much premium. And the rockets, by the way, have a 7.95 second reload on that clip for 4 of them, and the intra-clip is 0.33 seconds, so it fires the rockets very, very fast, as you've already seen in this replay. So what do I run in terms of a crew and equipment on the old T99 rocket Pershing? Well, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Clutch Braking, Camouflage Expertise, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, with the Advanced Loader, the Gun Stabilizer, and Optics. Optics to be able to spot for myself so that I have that fantastic view range of 499, sorry, with the Gun Stabilizer to make the accuracy during rotation and movement as good as humanly possible, so it's always ready to use this fantastic DPM. Advanced Loader to get the best out of the DPM again. All 3 gun perks, again, to make sure that we're just always ready to go with this 90mm gun on this tank, so that it's as good as humanly possible, and we're ready to use what is an asset on the vehicle, which is very good DPM. Clutch braking to make the track traverse better, because the track traverse is not bad, but for me it just felt really sluggish at times to turn, so I felt it was quite nice to be able to just make that a nicer thing on the vehicle. And the camouflage expertise just to make the camo that little bit better, so that we can use bush locations a little bit easier and stay unspotted a little bit easier while moving into position. But as always, you can set up the crew in different ways to make it more attractive to you to be able to play, but that's just how I run it. As we see that first game finish with the first class, the high caliber, the defender medal, 2.1k base XP. Is the first class, but yeah, sure, we'll take it. Really nice game there for the Rocket Pershing on Hellfire Pass in a pretty good matchup as well. I mean, 5k damage is always a really nice total for a tier 8 medium tank. But we're on to the second replay, and the second replay, we're now in a pretty horrible matchup. It's a tier 10 game here on... I was about to call it Empire's Border, but that's PC. I don't know why I keep thinking of it. It's Great Wall. On Great Wall... And on Great Wall, we are going to go to the position at H3, because we can go there, go hull down, use our 10 degrees of gun depression. Now, the Pershing, if you've not played a Pershing before, I mean, you've probably earned quite a few different tanks that are very similar to the Pershing, in like the M26 Pattern Career, maybe a Deathstalker, a T25 Pilot, for example. They're all very similar to the Pershing in the fact that they don't really have any armor, but they do have some armor. So it's not the kind of armor that you sit there going, hello, Mr. Tier 10, I can bounce you hull down. Nice try penning me. Because they will just go, ha, and pen you anyway, right? But you've got angles on the turret front, and using 10 degrees of gun depression accentuates those angles, and it means that you can ricochet shots. And it's kind of the best thing to do. If you have 10 degrees of gun depression, it's always best to go to a ridgeline where you can use the 10 degrees of gun depression. It limits the amount of tank that people have to shoot, and then you can farm away. So you can see me here, the Teeth Breakers push very aggressively. I've knocked down some trees so that I have some camouflagey cover from the tree line. But our Teeth Breaker, see where he's pushed to? F1. I was going to push down to where he is to shoot the tanks in the back at H1. But just as I was about to do it, he gets killed because there is the 3 tanks around that corner at E1. But they don't seem to be pushing, so maybe if I stick as close as possible to the ridge at F1 area, I can get some free shots into the back of the medium tank and heavy tank, kill them, and it will move my team on from the position at J1. So we can just speed the flank along. So there we go, shot into the back of the AVRE, sets them on fire. We've got shots at the back of the 780, so we put some rockets into the back of him there. It damages him a couple of times because the rockets do splash, because they do kind of act like HE in that regard. And we're just going to keep pummeling shots into the back of him. You can see how nice the DPM, 4.6 second reload when you boost for food is very, very nice. And we're just keeping the damage flowing on that 780. Trying to get him dead so that my team basically moves in and goes, okay, we can move in now. We do have to be careful about poking over too far, because if we do push forward too far, the TDs and the medium tank can shoot me in the back of the turret, and we have to be careful of that. Sadly, we did miss the shot on the 780, but maybe we'll get to finish him off. This time we do finish off that Soviet Tier 10 heavy tank, but we do take a hit from the Earthshaker. So I'm being careful of the tank that might be above me, because there was a heavy tank spotted at F5, and he could go through the gap at G5 and come after me. So I want to try and spot and whittle the Earthshaker and whatever the other tank was around this corner down if I can, because that way, again, my team will come and help me, and if a tank comes up behind me, they'll be able to shoot it. So the Earthshaker's currently tracked, which means we can keep him perma-tracked because we have the DPM for it. We know there's a TD around this corner, and I think it's a Jagdpanzer that is around this corner, so I'm like, I don't really want to take that hit. And there it is. He ends up killing our T95 E6, but we've got 268 pen. As long as we don't hit this lower plate at an angle, we should be able to farm up, and we have decent DPM. So you can see this Jagdpanzer is doing the best thing he could be doing, and that is he is angling that lower plate supremely well on that ridgeline. And that means that my 268 penetration of APCR with 2 degrees of normalization is really struggling with the angle for which that guy is creating. He ends up slamming around into the 257, so we're going to take the opportunity to now use our DPM. I think, well, let's fire some rockets, see if we can just do a bit of splash damage, maybe take off his tracks with the rocket, but it doesn't go in. Again, the angle is a bit awkward for our APCR, and we're just bouncing off the lower plate of the Jagdpanzer. Realistically, what I'm trying to do here is I didn't want to YOLO past the Jagdpanzer, and the reason I didn't want to do that is because look what's happening at our base. I kind of want to go back if I can, but what we should be YOLOing past the Jagdpanzer because it's the best way to kill him, and it means that we're not just sitting in a funnel point for him to get easy shots. So we've now put 2 shots into his lower plate and his cupola. Thankfully, he misses the heat shell at us, and we finally finished that guy off with a shot into the lower plate. But now we've seen the team. Their team is pushing into our base. There is 2 TDs and a medium tank artillery back there, so they could defend it for a bit. There's a CDC behind us, so we're going to go help the heavy tank. Well, okay, the target tank didn't need any help against the CDC, but we're going to try and get rid of him and then push back to defend the base, because we don't really want to get capped out. But their Leopard PTA that was pushing towards our cap gets killed, and there's still just 1 medium tank left pushing against the TD at J9 and our artillery, so the likelihood of them capping now is a little bit lower. But we don't know where their other TD is currently. We're at 3k damage with 1922 assistance, 4 kills. We're on a really nice game so far for a tier 8 medium tank in a tier 10 game. So rather than pushing down the JK towards our cap, where we could end up hitting the front of that medium tank's gun, we're going to push down the F line and try and get behind him. And maybe, just maybe, we'll also find the other tank destroyer, because it's a high possibility that he might be somewhere along here. And if that other medium tank has decided to try and run away, we might bump into him. We've still got a decent amount of hit points, so I'm fairly confident that obviously I can just push aggressively, because if I get spotted I might take a hit, but I'm not instantaneously going to die. And it will also tell our team where they are. We also don't know where the artillery is, but we're suspecting it's possibly somewhere towards the base. So I see what the TD is in our base. It's a Panzerjäger with very little hit points, so we know that that guy is just a sneeze away from dying. I think I was streaming at this point, so I was saying I'm expecting the TD to be up at C0, but in fact he's not. He's actually just got spotted in their base. We find the Guardian STG, put 1 shot into his side, use the rockets to finish him off, and we finish off the Soviet medium tank there. And then we get detected by artillery, and it's like, huh? There he is. There's artillery. The artillery's actually up at C0, where I was expecting their TD to be, but we'll take that. We're on 5 kills, and I'm like, we could get a top gun here. So we load HE so we can get more damage on the artillery, as we do have 45mm of penetration, and that should go through the artillery, but depends on what the RT is. And we've got 320 alpha on those rounds, so that means we're hitting it a bit harder. But instead of going up the hill, up the 0 line with the medium tank, I'm going to go round instead, because I feel like our medium tank is going to get to the artillery way, way quicker. I also feel like the artillery is possibly going to run away. And we know where the Conway is, as the Conway's just killed our friend. So as we're pulling around the corner, it's like, oh no, that's the bat chat. It's a bot chat 15558. We put a HE round here, he hits us, and you can see the rockets are a bit awkward with the gun elevation and gun depression. We do get 1 rocket into him though, as he pulls back into our medium tank. Realistically, what that artillery should have done is just YOLO down the hill towards us and tried to put shots in from his clip, rather than backing up into a Skoda T50. But there we go. We managed to get a fair bit of damage into him with the rocket and the main cannon with the HE. And we're up to 4.2k damage with 5 kills. Now, we know where the Conway was. He was at B2. And I'm fully expecting him to still be hiding around the corner. And in fact, he's there. And I'm like, oh no, that's not good. He puts a shot into us. Conway has very good DPM. So I fire some rockets, get a shot into him on the move, and thankfully get myself safe just in time as we see him hit the ridgeline in front of me. I try and get a shot into him on the move yet again, but we hit the ridge while trying to just avoid his gun because he has very good DPM. I didn't really want to risk it. He's now focusing on our friends. We put a shot into his upper plate. I'm fully expecting to die now, but thankfully he hits my rocket tube. He aimed for our turret and hit our rocket tube, so he didn't actually hit a spot that he could pen on the M26 T99 and finish the game with the victory. 6 kills, 4.9k damage, 2k assistance, that's 7k combined. Fantastic game in a tier 10 lobby. With the Ace Tanker, the Oskins medal for 3 kills on 3 tanks 2 tiers higher. Top Gun, 2.5k base XP with those 6 kills. A very, very nice game there for the Rocket Pershing, which is a tank that I very much enjoy. But that's because I also love the Pershing. So I do enjoy the Pershing, I get on well with it. And then adding rockets on top of the Pershing, which aren't that effective, but they can be a nice little weapon to use at times, is nice for the M26 T99. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!